Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
The Toronto Blue Jays are cooking up something absolutely brilliant, and most fans aren't even talking about it yet. While the baseball world obsesses over splashy free agent signings and blockbuster trades, the Jays are quietly orchestrating a move that could transform their entire pitching staff for years to come. And it all centers around one aging superstar with a Hall of Fame resume and an unmatched desire to mentor the next generation of aces, Max Scherzer. Just saying that name brings back memories of last season's magical postseason run. The grizzled veteran standing on the mound in Game 7, his competitive fire burning as bright as ever despite being in the twilight of a legendary career. But here's where things get interesting. According to insider Jon Heyman, the Blue Jays still have significant interest in bringing back the three-time Cy Young Award winner. And no, this isn't just about adding another arm to the rotation. This is something much bigger, much smarter, and frankly, pure genius. Let's rewind for a moment. After the season ended, Scherzer made it clear he wanted to return to baseball. He's not ready to hang up the cleats just yet. At 41 years old, Mad Max still believes he's got enough left in the tank to be a full-time pitcher. And you know what? The competitive fire that's defined his entire career hasn't dimmed one bit. This is a guy who's won 3 Cy Young Awards, pitched in 8 All-Star games, and captured a World Series championship. He's a first-ballot Hall of Famer, no question about it. But it's what he did off the mound during his time in Toronto that makes this potential reunion so intriguing. Remember how Scherzer mentored Trey Savage throughout the playoffs? It wasn't just casual locker room chatter. The kid was practically glued to Scherzer's side in the dugout, soaking up every piece of wisdom the veteran had to offer. Savage even talked about how important that relationship was to his development, how crucial the coaching staff and veterans like Scherzer were to his success. And that's where the Blue Jays' master plan comes into focus. Here's the genius part that people are missing. The Jays don't just want Scherzer as another starting pitcher or bullpen depth. They want him as a player coach. Think about it. You sign him to a contract for the upcoming season, maybe even something that extends beyond just playing. He gets to stay involved in the game he loves, still competing when his body allows it, whether that's starting games, providing long relief, or serving as insurance if someone goes down with an injury. But more importantly, he becomes an invaluable mentor to one of the most promising young rotations the Blue Jays have assembled in decades. This isn't just speculation either. The idea has been floating around Blue Jays circles for months. One fan on Reddit nailed it 3 months ago when they wrote, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Give Scherzer a contract and ask him to be a long-term pitching coach. The guy likes to teach. Look at how he mentored Savage throughout the playoffs. Players with his pedigree and desire to pass along knowledge don't grow on trees." And that sentiment captures exactly why this move makes so much sense. The Blue Jays' rotation heading into this season is legitimately exciting. You've got Alek Manoah looking to bounce back, Jose Barrios providing stability, Yusei Kikuchi with his electric stuff, and of course the young guns like Trey Savage and Bowden Francis, who showed flashes of brilliance last year. There's also Ricky Tiedemann waiting in the wings, and don't forget about guys like Dylan Cease and Cody Poteet, who could factor into the equation. But here's the thing, with all that talent comes uncertainty. How many innings can Savage handle in year 2? Will Manoah return to his breakout form? Can the bullpen pieces like Jordan Romano stay healthy? These are legitimate questions that every team faces over the grueling 162-game season. That's where Scherzer becomes invaluable. Even if his days as a dominant ace are behind him, even if the stats from last season weren't pretty with that 5.19 ERA, and even though he dealt with that nagging thumb injury that kept popping up, he still provides immense value. Think about what he brings beyond the numbers: the work ethic, the preparation, the mental approach to facing elite hitters, the ability to make in-game adjustments, the understanding of how to navigate through a lineup multiple times. These are things you can't teach in spring training sessions or coaching clinics. You learn them from being in the trenches with someone who's done it at the highest level for 2 decades. And let's not forget, Scherzer absolutely loved being in Toronto. He was a fan favorite the moment he arrived. The clubhouse adored him. When he signed with the Jays last offseason, everyone thought he was crazy for saying the team had a chance to win the World Series. Guess what happened? They made it to the World Series. Okay, they didn't win it, but they got there, and Scherzer was part of making that dream a reality. He started Game 7. That alone tells you everything about his importance to that team. Now, Jon Heyman's recent comments add another layer to this story. He mentioned that the Jays still have interest in Scherzer, but it's unclear where he'd fit into the roster. And you know what? That's actually perfect. The uncertainty about his role is exactly what makes this arrangement so flexible and valuable. He doesn't need to be penciled in as the number 2 starter or locked into a specific bullpen role. He can be whatever the team needs him to be on any given day. Need a spot start because someone's dealing with arm fatigue? Scherzer's your guy. Want a veteran presence to eat innings in a blowout game? He can do that. Looking for someone to mentor your young pitchers through the ups and downs of a major league season? There's nobody better.
The financial aspect makes this even more appealing.
Scherzer is not going to command the massive contracts he signed earlier in his career. At 41, coming off an injury-plagued season with mediocre statistics, he's not getting $40 million a year anymore. The Blue Jays could probably bring him back on a very reasonable deal, maybe something in the neighborhood of $8 to $12 million for 1 year, with incentives based on innings pitched and performance. For a team that's shown they're willing to spend money to compete, that's pocket change for what Scherzer brings to the table. And here's another thing people aren't considering. The Blue Jays don't have a salary cap to worry about. This isn't the NHL or NBA where every dollar counts against a hard ceiling. Baseball's luxury tax exists, sure, but the Jays have room to maneuver financially. Adding Scherzer's contract wouldn't prevent them from making other moves if opportunities arise. It's basically risk-free upside.
But wait, there's more context we need to discuss here,
Because the free agent market has been absolutely wild over the past few days. Framber Valdez, who many thought might be a Blue Jays target, just signed a 3-year, $115 million deal with the Detroit Tigers. That's right, $115 million. The Jays met with Valdez and hung around in discussions, but as insider Mitch Bannon reported, they would have needed the market to really fall for them to land him. Well, it didn't fall. The Tigers swooped in, and now they've got themselves one heck of a southpaw to pair with Tarek Skubal. That 1-2 punch is going to be scary for American League opponents.
Then there's the Isaiah Kiner-Falefa situation, which is honestly kind of wild. The former Blue Jay signed a 1-year, $6 million deal with the Boston Red Sox. $6 million. For a player who, let's be honest, doesn't provide a ton of offensive value and is primarily known for his defensive versatility. Now, apparently his performance in the World Series didn't hurt his market value, but come on. $6 million for IKF when Miguel Andujar, who hit .318 last year and had a genuinely productive season at the plate, signed for less money? That doesn't make any sense. Andujar's deal would have been the type of low-risk, high-reward move the Blue Jays should be pursuing right now. Cheap contract, some upside with the bat, and enough defensive talent on the roster to cover his liabilities in the field. These are the complementary pieces that turn good teams into great teams. But instead, he went elsewhere for a bargain price while IKF got paid. Baseball's free agent market is weird sometimes. All of these moves happening in rapid succession, Valdez to Detroit, IKF to Boston, Andujar finding a home elsewhere, they all point to one reality. The market is moving fast. Teams are making decisions. Players are coming off the board. And the Blue Jays need to strike while the iron is hot with their remaining targets. That includes Max Scherzer. Let's circle back to why bringing Scherzer back as a player coach makes so much sense beyond just the mentorship aspect. The Blue Jays rotation as constructed right now has incredible upside, but also legitimate durability concerns. Trey Savage is heading into his sophomore season. The infamous sophomore slump is real, and having a veteran like Scherzer to help him navigate the mental challenges of year 2 could be the difference between regression and taking another step forward in his development. Jose Barrios has been durable throughout his career, but he's also logged heavy innings year after year. At some point, that workload catches up with pitchers. Alek Manoah is coming back from a disastrous season where he struggled mightily with his command and confidence. Yusei Kikuchi has electric stuff, but has never pitched 200 innings in a major league season. Bowden Francis showed promise, but is relatively inexperienced as a full-time starter. You see the pattern here? Talent everywhere, but also question marks about health, endurance, and consistency.
Scherzer provides the safety net. If someone goes down, if someone hits a rough patch and needs a break, if the team needs to manage innings more carefully in the first half to keep guys fresh for a playoff push, Scherzer can step into any role and handle it with professionalism and competence. And all the while, he's teaching the younger guys how to be professionals, how to prepare, how to study opposing hitters, how to maintain your body through the grind of a long season.
Think about what Roger Clemens did later in his career, joining teams mid-season when they needed him most.
Scherzer mentioned he's open to that route if the right opportunity doesn't present itself before opening day. But why would the Blue Jays want to wait until mid-season when they could lock him up now, get him into spring training with the young pitchers, and maximize the mentorship opportunity from day one? It doesn't make sense to play the waiting game when you have a chance to bring in a future Hall of Famer who wants to be part of your organization.
And let's talk about the intangibles for a second.
Scherzer is one of the most competitive players to ever step on a mound. That mentality, that refusal to accept anything less than excellence, it's contagious. When you have a guy in your clubhouse who's won at the highest level, who's pitched in the biggest games imaginable, and who still attacks every outing like his career depends on it, that sets a tone for the entire pitching staff. The young guys see how Mad Max prepares, how he competes, how he handles failure and success with the same intensity, and they start to adopt those habits themselves.
This is the same guy who famously said he'd pitch until his arm fell off if that's what it took to win.
That's the kind of player you want around your developing stars. Trey Savage is talented, no doubt about it.
He's got the stuff to be an ace in this league for a long time. But talent alone doesn't guarantee success. You need the right coaching, the right environment, and the right veteran influences to reach your ceiling. Scherzer provides all of that. Now, some people might wonder if Scherzer would even be open to a hybrid player-coach role. After all, he stated clearly that he still wants to be a full-time pitcher. But here's the thing. Scherzer is also one of the smartest players in baseball. He understands the reality of being 41 years old. He understands that his body might not cooperate for 200 innings anymore. And he's shown throughout his time in Toronto that he genuinely enjoys teaching and mentoring younger players. It's not a stretch to think he'd embrace a role where he gets to continue competing while also preparing for his post-playing career in coaching. Plus, the Blue Jays could structure the contract in a way that's appealing to both sides. Guarantee him a roster spot and a certain salary for being with the team. Add incentives based on innings pitched, games started, and performance metrics. Maybe even include provisions for transitioning into a full-time coaching role after his playing days are done. Make it a win-win where Scherzer gets to extend his career on his terms, while the Blue Jays get incredible value both on and off the field. The more you think about it, the more brilliant this strategy becomes. It's not just about adding depth to the pitching staff, although that's certainly a benefit. It's not just about having a veteran presence in the clubhouse, although that matters too. It's about investing in the long-term development of your young pitchers by giving them access to one of the greatest minds in baseball. It's about creating a culture of excellence and accountability. It's about maximizing every possible advantage in the pursuit of a championship. And let's be real for a second. The American League is absolutely stacked right now. The New York Yankees are always dangerous. The Baltimore Orioles have one of the best young cores in baseball. The Tampa Bay Rays continue to develop talent and compete on a shoestring budget. The Boston Red Sox are trying to rebuild into contention. Even the Tigers, with their Valdez signing, are clearly trying to take the next step. The Blue Jays need every edge they can get if they're going to win the division and make a deep playoff run. Having Max Scherzer in your organization, whether he's starting every fifth day, or pitching out of the bullpen, or serving primarily as a mentor who makes occasional appearances, gives you an edge that most teams don't have. How many teams can offer their young pitchers the opportunity to learn from a 3-time Cy Young Award winner on a daily basis? How many organizations have that kind of resource just sitting in the clubhouse, available for questions, film sessions, bullpen throwing sessions, and in-game advice? The answer is not many. And that's exactly why the Blue Jays need to make this happen. There's also something poetic about Scherzer potentially finishing his career in Toronto. He came to the team last year with one goal in mind, to win a World Series. They came up short, but they gave it one hell of a run. Bringing him back for another shot, letting him mentor the next wave of pitchers who might be the ones to finally bring a championship back to Toronto, that's a storyline that writes itself. Baseball fans love redemption arcs. They love veteran players chasing glory in the twilight of their careers. Scherzer coming back to Toronto fits perfectly into that narrative. And here's something else to consider. The Blue Jays have been criticized in recent years for not developing pitching talent effectively. They've had prospects flame out, they've had veterans underperform, and they've struggled to build sustainable pitching depth. Bringing in Scherzer as a player coach directly addresses that criticism. It shows a commitment to player development. It shows they're willing to think outside the box to give their young pitchers every advantage. It shows they understand that building a championship team isn't just about signing the biggest free agents or trading for established stars. Sometimes it's about the little things, the mentorship, the culture, the daily habits that turn good players into great ones. So where does this leave us? Well, we know the Blue Jays still have interest in Max Scherzer. We know Scherzer wants to keep playing and is willing to wait for the right opportunity. We know he loved his time in Toronto and was beloved by teammates and fans alike. We know the Blue Jays have a talented but inexperienced pitching staff that could benefit enormously from his presence. And we know that financially this move makes sense for both sides. The pieces are all there. Now it's just a matter of getting the deal done. Will it happen? Who knows? Baseball moves fast this time of year and opportunities can disappear in the blink of an eye. But if Ross Atkins and the Blue Jays front office are serious about competing for a World Series, if they're serious about developing their young pitchers into future aces, and if they're serious about creating a winning culture that lasts beyond just one season, then bringing back Max Scherzer is an absolute no-brainer. It's genius, it's strategic, and it's exactly the kind of move that doesn't make headlines, but could end up being the difference between a good season and a great one. So come on, Blue Jays, make it happen. Bring back Mad Max, let him mentor Trey Savage and the rest of the young arms. Give him a chance to contribute both on the mound and in the clubhouse. And watch as one of the smartest signings you make all year helps transform your pitching staff into a legitimate strength. The clock is ticking, the market is moving, and opportunities like this don't come around often. Don't overthink it. Don't let him slip away. Just get it done. What do you think? Should the Blue Jays bring back Max Scherzer as a player coach? Is this the genius move that puts them over the top? Or are there better ways to spend their money in roster spots? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into the Blue Jays master plan, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another update. We've got tons of Blue Jays content coming your way, from free agency analysis to spring training previews to breaking news as it happens. This is going to be an exciting season, folks, and you're going to want to be along for the ride. Thanks for watching, and let's go Blue Jays.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers, and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.